we're going to show you how to etch the slits with the facing details. This is a very useful technique. The first thing we need to do is to decide where to place the slit. Notice that these are not the two details stitched together. The slit can be made in any place here. The technique we're going to show you today will be useful for working with the slits made not in the seams. You can use it if you, for example, want to make a slit in the front of the skirt. The first thing we need to do is to draw the slit. We're going to make it 17 centimeters long. Let's make a spacing seam here. Do not forget to mark the top of the slit.
Контрольное начало разреза, эту точку.
Be very accurate and attentive when making spacing seams. It's not enough to draw the seam with a piece of chalk. The drawn line will fade when the detail is doubled and ironed. In order to etch the slit with the facing, you need to cut a piece of fabric. I remind you that we are making a mock-up. This is why we're using the fabric of different color. The width of this piece of fabric is 8 centimeters. It should be much longer than the slit is. The slit is 17 centimeters long, and this detail 25 centimeters long. It's better to cut the extra piece later. This detail should be doubled with the interfacing material of the same size. The bulk details were cut on the grain. This tight detail of the interfacing material was also cut on the grain. The slit itself should be doubled as well. Let's go to the ironing desk in order to do it. Do not forget to mark the right and the wrong sides in the both details. The crosses mark the wrong sides. Natalie is attaching the interfacing material to the facing detail. Be very attentive. Notice that we're going to attach the interfacing material to the right side in the main fabric. I remind you that we're doubling the part which will be cut. The details should be trimmed before we continue working with them. Next, we need to mark the center of this detail. Draw a straight line here. After that, we need to draw a line which matches the slit. The line should be drawn on the wrong side. Here it is. It should be made longer in order for us to see where to place this detail. Have a close look at what we're doing. The right side of the facing should be pinned to the wrong side of the main fabric.
Лицо обтачки к изнанке изделия.
Next, we need to stitch the pin details.
Будьте внимательны.
Have a look at the way Natalie is going to stitch the details. The two seams should be made 1 millimeter away from the line on each side of it.
В одну сторону и в 1 миллиметр в другую сторону. Посмотрите.
Have a close look at the seam.
от нашей
It was made 1 millimeter away from the line. Natalie is still stitching the seam. When you reach the top of the slit, leave the needle inside of the detail and turn it. Make a couple of stitches here, and then turn the detail once again.
Поворачиваем.
Be very careful and attentive. Next, we need to make one more seam on the other side of the line.
Линии будущего разреза.
This is how the stitch detail looks like now. There are two seams here. The distance between them is 2 millimeters.
Аккуратно проложены.
They are parallel.
Разрезаем.
Next, we need to cut the line.
Параллельно.
The cut should be made right in between the two seams.
По линии нашего будущего разреза.
Be very attentive. Watch the way Natalie is cutting the top of the seam. She even makes the tiny cuts towards the angles. Do not cut more than needed. This is very important. Next, we need to top stitch the details. The width of the seam is 1 millimeter. We're going to stitch the facing details not towards the slit, but towards the sides.
Расстрочка на 0,1 на сторону изделия.
Be very attentive. Make sure that the seam is being stitched accurately on the wrong side. Natalie, let me have a look at it. Make sure that the seam extension is stitched close to the garment.
Закончили расстрочку со второй стороны.
When the facing is stitched, it should be turned to the right side.
Вывернули нашу планку на лицевую сторону.
I remind you that we've doubled the slit with the interfacing material before cutting it.
На срез
Due to this fact, the edges of the slit are much stronger now.
И укреплен сам срез, и не высыпятся нитки.
Next, we can remove the spacing seam.
Все прокладочные нитки.
Due to the fact that the facing was top-stitched, it's of the needed shape.
Кантик сам выкладывается.
It should just be ironed.
Придется только его аккуратно приутюжить. Вот он.
Iron both the top and the bottom of the slit very carefully.
Начало или конец этого разреза.
Next, the edge of the facing should be folded and ironed.
Вы можете начертить.
You can draw a line for ironing if you want to. Natalie is not going to do it. It's enough for her to pin it. I remind you that we are making a mock-up. This is why we've decided to iron the detail right away.
Образец у нас так получится. А вы можете
You can take it first.
заметать, отутюжить.
Next, we need to do the same thing on the other side.
Нужно, чтобы
It's very important for the both details to be of the same width.
одинаковой ширины.
This is how the facing looks like now.
Настрочная
We folded 1 centimeter on each side of it.
деталь. 1
The details are the same width.
Наши
This is very important.
ширина планки одинаковая.
The only thing left to be done is to make a beautiful angle here.
Уголочек красивый сверху.
Fold one of the angles, press it, and then fold the second one.
Загнули деталь во вторую сторону.
The angles should be even.
Были одинаковые.
You can make such slits in any garments you like: blouses, shirts, skirts, dresses. How to edge the bottom and edge details. First, it should be trimmed. Make sure that it's absolutely straight. The width of the overcast will be 2 centimeters. Fold the facing this way and mark 2 centimeters up from the bottom in it. You can make the overcast as wide as you want. Next, we need to stitch the detail according to the drawn line. After that, we need to do the same thing on the other side. Fold the detail this way. Pin it. And mark 2 centimeters up from the bottom in it.
Подгибку низа.
Stitch this side just like the first one.
По детали обтачки.
This is how the stitched facing looks like now. We've made the seam 2 centimeters up from the bottom. Watch what we're doing next. There has to be a cut made here. Be very attentive. All the extra pieces should be cut. The cut should be biased. This is very important. Do not cut it this way or that. Make a cut from one angle to the other. Next, we need to cut all the extra details. After that, the angle can be turned right side out. Next, we need to do the same thing on the other side. Make a bias cut from one angle to the other. Be very careful. Don't cut too much. If you don't cut enough, you won't be able to turn the detail right side out. If you cut less than needed, you will make a hole. We've turned the details right side out. This is how they should look like. The angles should be perfect. Next, the bottom should be edged with an overlocker. We've already done it. After that, we need to iron the details carefully. The bottom, the angles,
которые мы выворачивали.
Be very attentive. Natalie has folded the cut details, and she's ironing them now. They should be pressed close towards the garment. you'll see what it should be done for. This is how the overcast at the bottom looks like now. If you are making a garment of the thin fabric, you can fold the bottom twice and then sew by hand instead of stitching it with an overlocker. This is what I'm talking about. This piece of fabric is too strong for this technique. When making garments of the thin fabrics, you can also make the details smaller. As I've already said, the overcast can also be made differently. Next, we need to top stitch the facing. It should be done for it to be more beautiful. It's enough for Natalie to pin the facing for stitching. You can take it if you want to. Notice that we've threaded the sewing machine with the threads of the knitted colors, blue and pink. Be very attentive. The width of the seam is just 1 millimeter. Have a close look at what Natalie is doing. Insert the needle in the fabric, raise the foot, and then turn the detail. Have a close look at the way it should be done. This is the top stitching. This is why we haven't fixed the thread here. The both threads are on the wrong side now. Thread a needle with them and fix them on the wrong side. The extra pieces should be cut.
И сейчас делаем небольшую закрепку. Несколько стежочков в одну сторону и уводим.
Have a close look at the way Natalie is working. We are ironing the facing for the last time. As I've already said, the slits can be made in any fabrics and any details. This is a very useful technique. Have a look at the wrong side. It's absolutely perfect. You can attach the facing in such way that it will be placed on the wrong side. This is how the right side would look like in this case. The technique is absolutely the same. This is the most important thing. That's all for today. We showed you how to edge the slits with the facing. We're Ira and Natalie. Subscribe to this channel, write comments, share the videos, press like and the bell buttons. We would really appreciate your support. Thank you. Goodbye.